my name is Denise Lindeman, and I am one of the members here at Desert Grace. We have a great message for you today. If you enjoy this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and leave a comment so that we know you've been blessed. God bless you and have a great day.
And if your mom's alive today, and you can go see her, there isn't anything in this world that's more important than going to see her. But if you can't get there real quick, you know what? Somebody have a cell phone? Oh, hi, Mom. I just wanted to call and tell you Happy Mother's Day. You won't get charged for that. Make it a point. Now, maybe your mom's not here. Maybe your mom wasn't what God would have her to be. Maybe she stumbled and fell and succumbed to the things of this world. Well, I've got good news. God is a mighty God, and He's able to raise up a number of warriors and individuals just like this young man right here. Thank you. Thank you. I've always wanted to sit when I preach. I'm like one of those guys. My hair's not long enough, is it? Bad joke, I'm sorry. But I want you to, I want to, mothers, the Lord knows. Ladies, the Lord knows. He knows. I want you to take right now, and I want to give you a real short quiz. I want you to name the 5 wealthiest people in the world, just in your mind or on your notes. Can you do that real quickly? All right, I'm going to move to number 2. Name the 5 Heisman Trophy winners, the last of them. How about naming the last 5 winners of the Miss America contest? Come on, now you're looking at me a little funny. You're looking at me a strange. Here, let me make it easier. Name the last 5 Nobel Prize winners. And you're laughing at me. And you're saying, seriously, preacher? Well, let me give you quiz number 2. I want you to name 5 teachers who aided you through school. Immediately, their faces came to your mind. Name 5 friends who have helped you. Immediately, more than 5 come to your mind. Name 5 people who enjoy being with you, regardless of who you are. I'm so glad for my pastor. He loves me even though I are what I are. I want you to name 5 people who just appreciate you. Has anybody told you today they appreciate you? I want you to know that Pastor Clint, Pastor Jim, we all appreciate you, and so does Jesus. Amen. Easier, the lesson. The people who make a difference in our lives are not those with the most credentials, the most money, or the most awards. They are ones that care. So why do we chase so hard after these things that really have so little meaning? Why? We're living in an ungodly world. It's not hard to say, and my heart breaks. But more than any other time in the history of this world, we need Him. Amen. We need Him more than anything else. So why do we chase after these? I don't know. Maybe our focus is not on Jesus. Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full into His wonderful face. 2 years ago, a friend of mine officiated at a funeral with a 21-year-old man who had been killed in a car accident. His name was Timothy. And his pastor said he will never forget what his older brother said as he stood before his family and the hundreds of individuals who were there to pay the respects that were present. Realizing how quickly a loved one can be taken away, choking out his words, his tears, he promised, I'll be a better friend. I'll be a better brother. I'll be a better son to you, Mom and Dad. And as the pastor listened to his promises, he made the commitment, I'll be a better husband. I'll be a better dad. I'll be a better son. Every mother here today would gladly make that promise. I'll be a better mother. The realities of motherhood, after putting her children to bed, a mother changed into her slacks and her sweats or whatever you might be, her husband's old flannel sweatshirt that still had, never mind, and proceeded to wash her hair. And as she was doing so, she heard the children getting more and more rambunctious. They were supposed to be sleeping. They were put to bed. But at last, her patience grew thin, and as they got louder and louder, she threw a towel around her head. She stormed to the room, putting them back in the bed with stern warnings. And as she left the room, she heard her 3-year-old son say, "Who was that?" I haven't met a mother yet that isn't praying and hasn't been praying for their children. I run across a poem entitled Mom's Prayer. It goes something like this: Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray my sanity to keep. For if some peace I do not find, I'm pretty sure I'll lose my mind. I pray I find a little quiet, far from the daily family riot. May I lie back and not have to think about what they're suffering down at the sink, or who they're with, or where they're at, or what they're doing to the cat. I pray for myself all the time. Did something just fall off the shelf? To cuddle in my nice soft bed. Oh no, another goldfish dead? Some silent moments, for goodness sake. Did I just hear a window break? And I need not cook or clean. Well, I've got a right to dream. Yes, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray my wits about me keep. But as I look around, I know I must have lost them long ago. There was a teacher in her 2nd grade class, and she was giving the children a lesson on the magnet and what it does and how it works. And the next day was a written test. And in this test, she came up with this question. She says, my name has 6 letters. The first one is M. I pick up things. What am I? And when the test papers were turned in, the teacher was astonished to find that almost 50% of the students in her class wrote the word mother. Mother. If it was going to be easy to raise kids, it never would have been called labor. Families get together, and one of the things we don't do very much anymore is sit around the table and eat. When we sit at the tables, in fact, we went to a restaurant when we were in Waco, Texas. It was Magnolia, little grill, and you've probably seen those kind of things on TV and stuff. Well, in that restaurant, beside every table, they had a little leather pouch sitting on the wall next to the table. And as long as you had your cell phone out, they would not come by your table. The whole purpose of that was to put your cell phone in that pouch, and the moment you did, they would come and wait on your table. You pulled out your phone during that time, they wouldn't come and wait on you. They wouldn't serve you because they figured you were just too busy to take care of and deal with those that were around you and play with you and fellowship with you. I love that. I love that. One time a family was having people over for dinner, including the pastor and his family, and the father turned to his 6-year-old daughter and said, "Would you like to say the blessing?" And she, did that to Dad, and he said, I don't know what to say, she replied. He says, "Just say what you hear your "Mommy say," the mother prompted. The little girl bows her head and in a loud voice said, "Dear Lord, why on earth did I invite all these people to dinner?" You know, we can chuckle at the trials of motherhood, but there's a truth about motherhood that goes far deeper than these chuckles that we've enjoyed even today. The reality is this: along with motherhood comes heartache and hurt. It was Ann Landers who once offered this advice to everyone, and I believe it's especially true for mothers. She said, "If I were asked to give what I consider the most single useful bit of advice for all humanity, it would be this: expect trouble as an inevitable part of life." But you know what? I want to add to that, because where there's trouble, we have the Lord. If that doesn't get your clock ticking or your whew, that I get excited. I can't keep still. It's called the Nazarene two-step, preacher. I would submit to you today, the even greater truth is this: mother, the Lord knows where you're at. Not only does he know where you're at, he knows where you're going. He knows what you're going to be facing. He knows what you're going to be dealing with. And the good news is, he says, rest in me. Call upon my name. He's there for us. He's there for you, for all you at home. All you have to do is call on his name. Ask him to come and give you the strength and the help and the things. He says in his word, you have not because you what? Ask not. Oh, I invite you to turn over to Matthew chapter 9, verses 35 through 38. And this is not a passage written especially for mothers, but it's certainly appropriate for mothers to read this passage and find comfort in it. Matthew 9. Sorry, I'm crackling. Jesus went through all the towns and the villages, teaching their synagogues, preaching the good news of the kingdom and healing every disease and sickness. He saw the crowds. He had compassion on them because they were harassed and they were helpless and like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. And you know the story and you know the process that he went. And it was on the sixth day that God created man. And then he looked at man and he says to himself, he needs a helper. And he created women. He created woman. Flesh from our flesh, bone from our bone. He created somebody that is special. There's something special that a mom can only do. Now, dads try to do it, but they're not like moms. The little one falls and they get hurt and they have an owie or they bump their elbow or something. And you know what? There's nothing more healing than a mother's kiss. You had a problem, you had a breakup, or you had an issue with a friend and you feel like they don't love you anymore. Or you're struggling with that. Why did they do that to you? And you go to mom. And she says, oh, honey, I'm sorry you had to experience that. But I know who Jesus is, and he's greater than all that. And she wraps her arms around you, and there's nothing more special than to have your arms of your mom. Now, some might say, well, wait a minute, preacher. You don't understand. My mom fell to sin. My mom wasn't what God wanted her to be. My heart breaks for you, but I have good news. God has created women, and there's some individuals who have decided to open their hearts and their lives to those around them and to incorporate and bring them into their lives and to be their mom. Maybe it's a special aunt. Maybe it's a new adopted mom. Maybe it's a big sister. Maybe it's just a real good friend who wants to be a friend, and she's that kind of the motherly type. Maybe, just maybe, it's a grandma. You know, some of us, our grandparents aren't around anymore. But look, turn and look around in this room. If you're online and you can see across the congregation, if we could see into your homes, we would be able to see individuals that God created that were created so unique that he wants to use those women to be the vessel of honor to touch the lives of those that are struggling. The Lord sees. He knows what's going on. He understands, and he saw the crowds. As he scanned the crowds that came to him, those who were closest to him have heard him sigh very, very deeply. He was concerned, the disciples. They could see the crowds, the throng, the unpredictable mob, and the logistical problem and all that, but Jesus saw the individuals. The individuals. He sees you. He sees you. The disciples saw the people at that moment were trudging along, and Jesus saw life histories. Life histories. The sheer numbers amazed the disciples, and Jesus was moved with compassion by the needs of each soul. He saw individual troubled hearts. Oh, I'm so glad he is who he is. He knows where we're at. Outwardly, these people may have appeared fine, but the Lord does not see as we see, as man sees. For man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Amen. Jesus saw, and Jesus sees into our hearts. You know, Jesus is the same today. He still is. How do I know what he is like today? We know because Apostle John saw Jesus in his glorified state when he was on the Isle of Patmos. John wrote down what he saw in the first chapter of the book of Revelation. And when John saw the resurrected Christ in all his glory, the way he appears in heaven now, it was natural for the beloved disciple to look into the eyes of the risen Lord, just as he did when they were together on earth. But those startling eyes must have been, how startling. John wrote, his eyes were like blazing fire. Maybe you've been in a worship service, and you're struggling and dealing with something, and the pastor comes, and he's got a sermon that the Lord gave to him, and it's on money, but you didn't hear money. You heard something else, and you're asking yourself, why is he preaching to me? It's not the preacher. It's the Lord, because he has blazing eyes and he's able to look at us individually. The message he gave to me that I borrowed from a friend who told me, he asked that I not say who it was because he didn't want me to mess up his thought line. He says, you make it your own. And I'm trying. He has compassion, and so he heals. And so he can send out you back into the field to reap a harvest. You know, there were 4 scholars. One were discussing the merits of various translations of the Bible. One liked King James best because it's the beautiful poetic English. Another liked the New American Standard because it was the most literally translated of the Hebrew and Greek. And the third expressed the view that the newest versions was the best because it was put into the Bible into current everyday language. I don't know which version you pick. Whatever God is able to use for you. They're all good. The 4th scholar was silent all the time. The other 3 were sitting there and they looked at him and they said, well, hey, Doc. That's what scholars talk to each other. That's scholar talk. Hey, Doc. You haven't said anything. And when he was asked to express his opinion, he replied, I like my mother's translation best. The other three expressed surprise. They didn't know that his mother had been a Bible scholar, but he assured them she translated the Bible into life every day of her life, and it was the most convincing translation, he said, that he ever saw. Oh, I like that when Jesus is able to flow through us and flow through you and make a difference. The only question in why we're living in a wicked world today is because so many individuals are taking that free choice that he has given us and says, I choose not to have you do that to me, Jesus. That's sad. But I know the end of the story. In Matthew, he says, I go to prepare a place for you, you, and for you at home. And he says, and if I go to prepare this place, I will return, that we may be where he is also. He wants to work through us. He wants to make a difference in this world now more than any other time. Let us not just say Mother's Day as another holiday. Sure, the world is done, and it's all good stuff, the candy. Okay, some of you are liking it. We're saying, okay, where's my candy? Others are saying, well, there was a little boy on stage. Little boy forgot his line in Sunday school presentation, and his mom was sitting right there in the front row. And she was there to prompt him, to help him on. And he had practiced and was ready to do this, and Mom was right there, and she was silently forming the words for him, what his next line was, and she was mouthing him, and she was silent, but she was, if you were up front, you could see her in the front row, and she was desperately trying to get him to look, and it was just gone. Everything he learned. And that doesn't happen to many of us guys, does it? Things just disappear. Well, this is a little boy, and he was starting out early. Finally, she leaned forward and whispered the cue, I am the light of the world. The child just took a step backwards, and he beamed, and a big smile come across his face, and he said, my mother is the light of the world. The Lord has sent you, mother, as the light of the world to your child. Ladies, the Lord has sent you to be that mother figure, that individual, the big sister, the grandma, or whomever it is, to be the light of. There's plenty of stuff in this world that are going against that. But God wants to use the ladies in the way he created them. So unique. And there's so much more we can say, but we're limited of time. There's a prayer that a mother had written once. She says, I gave you life, but cannot live it for you. I can teach you things, but I cannot make you learn. I can take you to church, but I can't make you believe. I can teach you right from wrong, but I cannot always decide for you. I can teach you to share, but I cannot make you unselfish. I can teach you about sex, but I cannot keep you pure. I can teach you about drugs and alcohol, but I can't say no for you. I can teach you about the goals, but I can't achieve them for you. I can teach you about kindness, but I cannot make you gracious. I can warn you about sin, but I can't make you moral. I can teach you about Jesus, but I cannot make Jesus your Lord. I can pray for you, but I cannot make you walk with God. I can tell you how to live, but I cannot give you eternal life. I can be your godly, loving, teaching mother, and I will be. The Lord has said, rest in me. Rest in me. There's individuals that are praying for the mothers of our families. And I have a little gift. The Lord said, come unto me and rest. There are times when our ladies just need to rest. They don't want you to ask them how they're doing or anything else. They just want to sit there and enjoy the moment in the silence and in the glory of his time. He's there to help. I've got a couple of individuals that have been praying for the ladies in their home and for their families. And they're giving a gift to all the women that are here today. And if you're at home and you were not able to receive this gift, just put in a text with your email or address on that so we can get a gift to you also. The Lord wants us to rest in him. Why? Because we need him. He's the only one who can give us true and meaningful rest. He is the only one who can do that. The world's not going to help us. They're going to deceive us. It's going to take us a different way. But God's got individuals, all these men. He appointed them. He appointed you, men. He appointed me to be the priest of the home, be the spiritual leader. We're the ones who are to take the leadership and to make sure the wives are all that they can be. These men who have families have been praying for their mothers. I used to grow up and say to my bride, "You're not my mother. I didn't have to do that." Honey, I'm always... Don't listen. We'll give you the microphone next week. God is so good. God is so good. And all the time. You see, there is nothing he doesn't know. And all he asks is us to rest in him, call upon him, and he will help us. He'll restore us. He'll renew us. He'll put the joy in our heart, whether it be through what we thought or another way. He has individuals that he has created to fill the gaps where we have those big holes in our lives. Lord, I just want to thank you this morning that you are a seeing Savior. You see each and every one of us. You see where we're at. Thank you that you are a compassionate comforter. I don't know how and what it would mean to not have your arms wrapped around us in the time of joy, the time of sorrow, the time of need. Lord, you can bring healing and wholeness so that we can be a better individual, a better father, a better brother, a better sister, a better mother, a better spouse. Lord, thank you for the privilege that you have given us in sending us into the harvest field of your precious souls. And as we leave today, may we acknowledge the great things you have done through the woman, and may we give you the praise and continue to lift them up. And God will continue to bless and honor each and every one. And the church together said, amen.
Thanks for watching this message with me. If you want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button and go the bell and be notified so when we go live or post a new video. We'd also like to invite you to join us in person for a service. Please visit us at desertgrace.org or give us a call at 928-305-1132 for more information. Thank you.